Hi everybody. Well, let's start today's with talking about some few things. For those of you who don't know, my name's Jack Truman, and I'm running for U.S. Congress in Missouri's Southwest District, Missouri's 4th Congressional District. So, today's episode is about equality, civil rights for all, and there's a lot of issues and things that deal with that. As far as equality goes, there's a lot of different things going on in our country that deal with equality. People think equal rights, there's more than just civil rights. Well, the way I look at it, civil rights includes a lot of things that deal with equal rights. I've got a short list here. Let me read them to you. You've got civil rights, women's rights, racial rights, workers' rights, voting rights, LGBT, gay and lesbian rights, veterans' rights, rights for people with disabilities, and then you've got modern day civil rights. Each one of these has its own issue, but they all come under the same umbrella, which is equality, equal rights for everybody. I mean, if you look at our whole country, there's all different types of cultures, all different types of lifestyles that deal with some type of discrimination and inequality. And a lot of people don't realize how much what's the words I'm looking for? People don't realize how much in our culture there's inequality. How much in our culture that people are not created equal. It's not just the color of your skin. It's the color of your skin. It's your race. It's your sex. It's your sexual preference. It's your lifestyle. There's a lot of ways that people aren't treated equally. So I'll just touch real quick on a few of these to give my viewpoint on equal rights. With civil rights, I mean, let's be honest, we've evolved a long way in the last 50 years. I remember growing up as a kid in the 70s and the 80s. Just imagine how much we've evolved since then, where we have a black man as our president. We have women they don't just have to be housewives while the man's out there making the living. It just amazes me how much we've evolved in just 40 years. And even when I was born in the 60s, think of how we've evolved from the 60s, when my mother was becoming a young adult. I mean, a lot of these kids and young adults in today's culture, when you tell them how it used to be 50, 60, even 100 years ago, a lot of them don't believe it. I've heard kids nowadays say, well, I don't believe people were treated like that. They don't believe the history books, but we've evolved a lot over the last 40, 50, 60 years. You don't have to go back 100 years to see how we've evolved in civil rights. But there's still a lot to be done. I'm very liberal. I'm a liberal Democrat, so my view is a little more extreme and radical from the normal Democrat. But I think we need something different like that to shake things up and make some changes. Women's rights, I mean, I think that there's still a lot to be done, but a lot has evolved, and women are very equal in a lot of ways. I mean, sure, there's got to be equal pay for equal work, but a woman has just as much a right to do anything as a man does. So I remember growing up as a kid how that was a different time. I mean, 40, 50, 60 years ago, women couldn't even get money out of the bank. Women couldn't even apply for a job that a man did. I mean, things are really good nowadays. Racial rights. I mean, 50, 60 years ago, well, look at history. We know how things used to be, especially in the part of the country where I am here. There was a lot of racism, and we've really evolved. We have a black president. We have communities and cultures where blacks are equal, but you look today with modern day civil rights, there's a lot still that needs to be done. I mean, where I live here in Missouri, look at what just happened a year or so ago in Ferguson. Everybody knows about Ferguson, and that's just an example of how there's a lot of communities across the country that have not evolved, and we need to do a lot to make changes. I mean, we're going in the right direction, but a lot still needs to be done. Gays and lesbians, the LGBT community, a year or so ago, I can't tell you how happy I was when gay marriage became the law of the land. So I'll be honest, I don't know about this whole transgender thing that's going on right now. If you're a man or a woman, I mean, the restroom, I'm not even going to go into that right now. I could spend a whole lot of time about that. But I think if you're, personally, if you've had an operation, well, then you're the other sex. Then you should be able to use that restroom. If you're still a man or if you're still a woman and you decide that you want to dress a different way, well, then you should still use the restroom that's designed for your sex that you were born as. If you want to have an operation, once you've had the operation, that's a whole different story. But until that point, you're a man or you're a woman. You're just experiencing things with different clothes. So that's my opinion on that. They should have unisex bathrooms. I mean, they should have bathrooms where men and women both go. I mean, I go to a lot of restaurants and stores and things where they have unisex, so there's no big deal about that. In the schools, just make a unisex bathroom as an option. There, you got it solved right there. But as far as gays and lesbians go, a lot has evolved since the 60s and the 70s. Think back to the Harvey Milk times in the 70s. I mean, a lot's changed, and it's nice to see. I know that when I lived in big cities like Chicago and LA, I would see guys walking down the street holding each other's hands, and that's nice to see that we're evolving more like that. Modern day civil rights, you see them all the time. See things, like I said before, Ferguson, you see things that need to be changed. You see people with disabilities that need more help. Our veterans, there's a whole chapter I could go into with veterans' rights. I'm a veteran. I was in the Army for 3 years, so that's something that's very personal to me. I could spend a whole episode talking just about the veterans and their rights. Workers' rights. There's so much. Unions, in my opinion, have outserved their purpose, but unions are good. But we have so many things we need to do for the workers and the minimum wage. And voting rights. I mean, God, look what's going on in our country right now with voting issues in some of these suppressed areas. We need to make some radical changes. So when you talk about equality and equal rights, it's more than just how people view civil rights. There's so many different issues that go into equal rights. You've got civil rights, you've got voting rights, you've got gay and lesbian rights, women's rights, LGBT, gay and lesbian rights, veterans' rights, rights for people with disabilities. So many rights that you have to deal with equality for all. So this is just, I'm just tapping a little bit into this, but equality and civil rights, we really have to do a lot of things to shake this system up and to shake this country up to make equality for all. My name's Jack Truman, and I'm running for U.S. Congress.